Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay, hang on one second.
Hey, this is Bill Conrad. Can you hear me?
Hear you good.
Thank you.
I was lucky. I got my first vaccine today. Yep, can't hear you.
Good for you. I got vaccine envy.
Yeah, I didn't have any kind of idea when the phone call would come. I was on 3 lists. Actually, it's easier to. I got mine Palm Medical Group I drove to Branford about 2 hours ago. They had plenty.
Well, you know, you've officially identified yourself as an elderly person now. So you
Yep.
got that stigma.
Yep. I mean, we're one of the few states I think that starts at 65, unless the CDC. I mean, the CDC recommended that, but I think in Louisiana it's still 70.
Yeah.
But
I
it's
got a
also Louisiana, so you can pretty much figure out a way to get whatever you want uh, for a little cash.
yeah. I got a cousin that drove down here from Georgia as a vaccine tourist because he's got a second
Heard-
home down here in Florida. And he said this is the best place to get your vaccine.
oh, interesting. I'm planning to come back to the meetings as soon as I get my second one, so I'll probably be back in March.
Yeah, me too. I had three good friends die this last week from COVID, and I got another one that's
Three?
on the ventilator. One of our city commissioners on the ventilator.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's it's I'm being a little more cautious than I was initially.
Yeah, I just had a cousin-in-law die. He was a state legislator in Louisiana.
My buddy that's on the city commission, he's a young guy. He's in his 50s. He's got kids in high school and college, and
It really
yeah,
it does discriminate, but in some ways it doesn't. Yeah, it's taking 30-year-olds out.
yeah, yeah. So you know, the the guy, the city commissioner that's on the ventilator, initially was one of the anti-mask, vaccination. This is all a hoax. But when he got real sick, came on Facebook and said, folks, this is not a hoax. This is the real thing. You all need to wear masks,
Yeah.
wash your hands, keep your distance. And so I think he's brought a lot of people into
Around.
believing. Yeah, yeah.
I think it only takes one or two friends that wind up with it if you're inclined to believe it's a hoax, and then all of a sudden it's not, doesn't
Not
look
a
so
hoax
much like a
anymore.
hoax.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bill,
this
did you
is
see that
real.
R.G. Thomas up in La Crosse passed away?
What's that?
Bill, did you see that R.G. Thomas up in La Crosse?
Oh,
No.
really?
He's 88. His wife, Barbara, has been on the
Barbara.
town council for a long time up there.
Yeah, I know Barbara. I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is getting pretty serious.
Yeah, he was a he was a big farmer, correct? Rancher,
Huge,
farmer.
huge farms up there.
Yeah, huge.
Well, it's 6 minutes after 4. Are we the only ones on, or is somebody else going to come on
Well, it
too?
does say Gainesville Regional Airport hosts.
Yeah.
Council's here.
Okay, well, with technical difficulty, every time we put the screen up on the big screen, after a couple of seconds, it times out, or something clicks and it gets lost, so. We're going to have everybody who's joined the meeting on Suzanne's display, and, so she can do roll call, and if they have questions, she'll relay them. She has to.
All right. So, oh my goodness, does one of you want to say, is Gene Calderwood on there? Is Gene Calderwood?
I can handle it.
Can you handle the invocation?
I'm sort of one of those guys.
That's a panic.
I'm an elder. I used to be, I got fired.
Okay, good. Well, let's go ahead and call the meeting to order then, Suzanne, at 4:07. And if all, we can please rise, and Craig Carter will do the invocation for us.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for gathering your people here today. Father, please lead us and guide us as we make decisions to serve your people and the citizens of Alachua County and all of our travelers. And please protect all of us through this virus, and please keep all of our airport authority safe in decision-making, and be with the people of this community in your heavenly name. Amen.
Amen. And pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Suzanne? Roll call.
Mrs. Calderwood? Mr. Carter?
Here.
Mr. Conrad? Mr. Dietenbach?
Present.
Ms. Horvath?
Here.
Bill Conrad is here. I couldn't hit the switch fast enough.
Here.
Mr. Thomas?
Here.
Here. And Mr. Wright?
Here.
Excellent. Suzanne, just for our curiosity, can you tell us who else is here?
Yeah, Matt Foster, the attorney for the authority, is here. And also Bill Crane, A.E. Khan, Eric Day, Chamber, Thomas Choi, not familiar, and there are 3 people on the phone.
Okay. That's fine. And are there any board members? What board members
Board
are
members
missing?
that are online are Thomas, Bill Conrad, and Jerry Dietenbach. And both 3 of those gentlemen submitted the affidavit of extraordinary circumstances from the last meeting.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you so much.
Just a note, Mrs. Calderwood did email us late this afternoon, and she had a conflict that had come up. She had to be there.
Super. Thank you so much. We need an approval of meeting highlights. Have you had an opportunity to review those?
So moved.
So moved.
Any discussion? Anybody have any comments on your end, Suzanne, or
Kevin seconds.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, those are approved. Citizens input, non-agenda items. Any citizens input? Hearing none, we'll move on, and I'll ask if there is any airport authority input on non-agenda items. All right, move on. We need to adopt our agenda today.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion or changes? Anything needed on the agenda? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, we have an agenda as adopted. We can now turn this over to Alan, who I can see in front of me. Right?
All right, thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome everyone. Great to have you here today. Just a quick an overview of the COVID situation again. And there are no known active cases at the airport on the commercial side. I don't know of any over on the GA side, but we are COVID-free here as far as we know. So there are no labor shortages due to illness. Mask compliance has been good in the terminal. TSA has just installed larger Steve's guards at their document checking station, and we've done a little bit of tweaking on some of the Jet Bridge social distancing stickers. Right now, there's no other facility needs that have been identified. As far as air traffic, passenger traffic has slipped nationally since the Christmas holiday, and we're no exception. Of course, January and February are two of our slowest months. I was on a recent statewide call of airport managers. It was estimated by the group that leisure traffic in Florida is down approximately 30 to 35%, and business travel is down 60 to 65%, particularly with the legacy carriers. So January is not looking great for business travel, but that's been the case since the pandemic started. Hardest hit are international markets, which some of those are down 85%, primarily because of the travel restrictions that are ongoing. Since the holidays, we've had a decline year over year of about 65%. We got up to around 50%, which was not too bad, but we're back at around 35% of our normal traffic level. We continue to operate with a reduced flight schedule. As I reported last month, Miami's been suspended at least through March. Right now, it's sort of going on month by month. One interesting thing came up. You know, there's been a little bit of extra money put in this latest bill that I'll go over for small community air service development grant. We really reached out to our carriers in terms of if any were interested in a new route at this time. We did not get a positive response, as you can imagine, but the question was, do we want to try and pursue with American doing a SCASI grant for Miami? The problem with that is we'd have to acknowledge, and they would have to acknowledge that they permanently ceased service, and we don't really want to go there. So it's a tough one, but if it comes up, we can always apply for the money in another year if that's the route that we want to go to. But we've known Miami's always been a bit problematic, especially as they're going to larger regional jets and retiring the smaller RJs out of the fleet. But we have good hopes that once the university is back cranking, that you know, that traffic will come back. The yields on the route were pretty good, even though the volume was low. Okay, we are still monitoring calls for testing on domestic flights and see how that situation plays out. There are a lot of people that are calling for that. Some airports have already instituted testing stations, particularly for international travel. So we'll keep that situation monitored as it develops. Both carriers have published their March schedules. Delta is going to continue with 4 flights on Monday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday, and 3 flights on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. American's increasing to 4 daily round trips to Charlotte, and American will fly 2 round trips to Dallas on the CRJ 700. So Dallas still continues to be a pretty strong route considering. That's good news. And then, of course, Miami is suspended. In terms of our CARES funding, we've done, well, TSA screenings, I'll say that, you know, as I said, they were at about 50% of 2019 levels in week 47, but since have declined to, in week 3 of this year, to 35% of 2020. So it backs up the numbers and the data that we've seen in terms of TSA screenings. For the CARES funding that we got, the $3.1 million approximate grant, we've done 9 draws of totaling about 2.7 million. So we have a little less than $400,000 left to draw, which we will be drawing soon. The last draw was primarily for payroll. I think Lynn did that one today. We are looking to get some guidance from FAA on the grant closeout procedures, so we'll get this one built out and closed out as quick as we can. Congress did pass the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriation Act, CRRSA, for those of you into acronyms, and that was signed by President Trump on December the 27th. It makes about $1.75 billion available to primary commercial service airports, and it's going to be distributed. It's a lot less than we originally thought because Congress was talking about a much bigger number, you know, around election time or prior to. It will be distributed based on the more traditional AIP entitlement formula, but some of the caps that existed for the bigger airports have been removed. So they will gobble up more of the funding. I hesitate to step out and tell you what I think we're going to get because they haven't announced it, but my guess is it will be about a third of what we've received so far. I'm just, you know, until I see the formula and how the bigger airports piece of the pie is going to change, I really can't say that with any confidence. That money can be used for pretty much any legal purpose, you know, operating expenses, debt service, payroll, things of that nature. So it'll be a welcome relief when it does come. We do have to apply for the funds before June 30th of 2021. The application looks to be pretty simple, so no concerns there. The nice thing about this time around is that those airports that receive many years worth of operating expenses don't get it. So if you got more than 4 years of operating expenses in the old CARES, last year's CARES Act, you don't get any of this money. So at least they attempted to right that wrong.
Oh, I've got a question on that. So whatever money you think we're going to get, is that a year's worth of our gap, you know, between kind of what we're losing right now, or do you think it's longer or shorter? What's your ballpark? What you hope to?
I think it's going to be appropriate for this year. You know, it really depends. I had hoped that by the end of this year we would be at 75% of employment. That's all wishful thinking. So our budget, you know, was built around that we would slowly get to 75%. We were at 50, so in the fall, so that was, you know, I was thinking that's pretty good, you know. But obviously, you know, the case number went up, and you know, all of the media and everything else that swirls around this thing, you know, plays a big part in what people's behavior are. So, but we think we'll be okay. Things continue on the way they are. One nice thing about this, separate from this money, is they're going to make $200 million, or they did make $200 million available for airport concession relief. So your food concessions and rental cars, terminal, and it specifically says terminal concessions. There'll be a $200 million pot that'll be distributed among the airports in a similar kind of formula. And, you know, that will help with some relief for them, and that won't have to come out, that relief from our, you know, $1 million. Hopefully. We may only get $100,000 out of that big pot, but it would be helpful, and yeah, it would certainly help out with rental cars and food concessions. I don't know that they really need that kind of money. So we'll see what comes out and what the board wants to consider there. There is an item on the agenda, though, for some further relief for them, just giving us the flexibility to do that. We should know what this grant amount is, I would hope, within the next three weeks or so, 2 to 3 weeks. Also, we get to keep 2% of those funds just for our administrative expenses and distributing them. And again, that's for rents that occurred, billings after December the 27th, when the bill was signed. So we won't be able to go backwards in time and get back to the relief. And it'll be, according to the law, their relief will be prorated depending on how much of our income comes from each of those concessionaires. Okay, also again, there was some more money in there for the Small Community Air Service Development Grant. They're interested in getting service back to those airports that have lost service, small communities that have lost service through COVID. So I think it was an extra $5 million that was put in for that purpose. And they gave about another month to submit. But, right now we haven't been told we've lost service permanently. So it's sticky. An additional note, not related to COVID, is that the FAA just grounded all of PSA's airlines. That's our American wholly owned subsidiary that services us. They just grounded all of their CRJ 700 and 900 aircraft. We're hoping it gets rectified by tomorrow, but we did have at least one canceled flight so far and probably at least a couple others before the day is out.
What was that based on?
Pardon?
What was that based on?
There was an airworthiness directive to inspect the nose gear. They, on a random inspection, they found some corrosion in the nose gear of one of the CRJs, and so they came out with an airworthiness directive to inspect and to do a modification. And they did not meet that deadline. So they are working it out. American has told me that they think they'll be restored tomorrow. Okay, the hits just keep on coming. The other information items, I'll give you an update on the construction. Suzanne should be able to get hopefully some pictures come up here. While she's doing that, if you don't mind, Madam Chair, I'll just skip to an item toward the end because it will involve some deliberation on your part. We have had in the last 3 to 4 weeks some interest in our Eclipse hangar. We've had 2 out-of-state operators contact us and do a tour of the facility, and we had one local person that was interested in the hangar building. So it's been advertised for years on major real estate sites like CoStar, LoopNet, and we get we certainly get inquiries from time to time, but these are, it's unusual to get 3 at one time of people that need space and need it now. And so what I have talked with Chair Horvath about, because of time is of the essence on this, is that we send out an advertisement or issue an ad for letters of interest on the hangar, or public public advertisement for letters of interest. When we get those back, we have a proposal form that we would send to them that they would fill out, and then we would evaluate those and then meet with the facilities and planning. The Finance and Operations Committee to discuss those letters of interest and select a firm to begin a negotiation with. But it will happen very quickly. I don't want to say too much before the ad goes out, but they're all solid. It seems pretty solid inquiries on the facility. But The things that I've asked for in the letter of interest that we would put the ad out tomorrow is first, the name and address of the company and any business partners, how it's structured essentially. A summary of the nature of the work or business activities that would be completed in the hangar, and the potential customers, whether they be public or private customers, and the expected aircraft types. Public or private is important because our tax exempt financing on the hangar dictates what interest rate we pay, whether it's a private use or a public use. The number of full-time and or part-time workers that would be employed, and an estimate of the average wage, if they want to share that. Desired lease term and any specific requirements regarding the lease arrangement, any special terms that are deal breakers. And so after we receive those letters of interest, we have a standard proposal form that we use in our RFPs that we would submit to them. It has a lot of financial information requests and other, more detailed corporate information. So, we look to come back to the Finance and Ops Committee, if the board is in agreement, very quickly to look at those letters of interest and proposals.
Are these aviation-related entities?
Yes, yeah, they have to be really, because the FAA considers that aeronautical land, and so we can't do more than a 5-year lease for a non-aeronautical use. And, so there will be things to weigh in terms of how that fits in with our current operation.
Encouraging though.
Yeah. Also, and so if there is no discussion on that, we'll just go ahead and proceed. But if there is, you want to vote on it, that would be.
Discussion on it? Okay. Do you want us to vote to proceed, or are you good to proceed?
Oh, we'll proceed since there seems to be agreement, unless anyone on the call has any questions. Or...
See.
It's non-binding, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Do any of our board members that are on the WebEx have any questions or wish to discuss that last subject?
No, I'm good.
No questions here.
Good job. No questions here, Kenan.
Okay.
Can I do the thumbs up?
All right, and secondly, last month you voted and approved for us to go out for a request for proposals on developing the site next to University Air Center for a hangar construction. And so we completed the RFP document, which for us, it's a fairly substantial document. It includes a sample lease agreement. It includes our airport minimum standards. It includes our building standards that the board approved last year, 2 years ago. And so we sent around a summary of the RFP document. We would have a proposal wherein, they're going to tell us, what term they would want to do. We would grant a 30-year term maximum. That's been our maximum here with FAA support, with a 5-year renewal option at the sole option of the authority. We would ask that they propose a hangar of at least 12,000 square feet, because we want to make the best use of the property, the highest and best use. But if there's an alternate size that they want to propose, they're certainly able to do that in the proposal document. This is just to give them an idea of what the expectation would be. But if there's clear language that if the site plan, and after they look at permit requirements and everything else, if it doesn't allow a hangar of that size, they can propose an alternate size. So we have the sample site plan that the board looked at and approved last month. There will be a non-mandatory pre-proposal conference that we will hold here on February 10th in the advertisement if it goes out as designed. And proposals would be due Tuesday, March 23rd. And then we have various evaluation criteria, so our expectation is that staff will look through the proposals, that we will then make any recommendation for interviews of those that propose, and then come back to the Finance and Operations Committee at that time with proposals and our recommendation. And hopefully that would be around April 6th. That's what's been advertised, and then we would have it on the April 22nd board meeting. So I'd like to do all this certainly in a more compressed time frame, but to get people enough time to realistically look at what's involved in building this and permitting, and you know, if we want to give them a little extra time. All right, and that is it until we now have our photos up. So just to give you an update on the terminal construction, those are our latest aerial photos that came out in early January. Next, Susan. And so there's the ramp side view, and not much change on the exterior. We'll show you some details in a second. Next, Susan. So one of the things ongoing is our roof progress. And Eric, can you flip that light off? I probably see that a bit. We're now getting toward the tail end of the roof work. So we're over this admin area and finishing up the area over the existing gate lounge. So things are looking good. That's Perry Roofing's crew up there. We do have the flashing that needs to go down, and some of the roof work. We had to remove one section of solar panels, so those have to go back up. But all in all, you know, it's progressing. It's been a long, hard road. It's a big roof, and they're moving right along though. Next, Susan. You probably walked inside, so we finished all of the tile on the non-secured side. You can see on the right there, we got the new carpet in the seating area. We still have to do the stainless steel cove base, so they've been working on that. They've got some mock-ups completed, and they look pretty good. So we should be seeing progress on that in the next week. And also the wainscoting panels that go on the walls. Final paint has yet to be done as well in those areas. We do have some cleanup. We're relocating and removing some signage. We moved some conduits and got them buried. We're just trying to do a general building to make it just a more clean and very sort of uncluttered environment. Make it look bigger than what it is. Next, Suzanne. There's the TSA area. So we had to hire TSA's contractor to move the X-ray equipment in the wee hours of the morning, which we're not allowed to touch. So that's been completed. The carpet's in. We've been replacing the light fixtures in there with LEDs. They're real happy with the increased light levels. And then we have some finish items and punch list items to take care of, final paint and stainless steel coat base and things. Next, Susan. And then same in ticketing and bag clean. Not much changed from the last meeting, but they have gotten some of those wainscoting underlayment and some of the stainless steel coat base and bag clean. All of the LED lighting in those areas has been installed by our own electrician. Next, Susan. And then in the existing gate lounge, we're tiling it now. The field tile is going in. Our guy has already replaced the LED, their fluorescent lighting with LED. The next thing the contractor will be doing is putting in the underfloor power for electrifying the seating for their mobile devices, and then the new carpet in there. And then we're going to upgrade that fountain, which is kind of a precast concrete that just gets real dirty, and it's going to be very hard to clean with new carpet there continually. So we're looking to tile that and epoxy paint the top end of it and just make it less maintenance intensive. Next, Suzanne. So on the building itself, finally got the soffit, aluminum soffit and fascia finished, and then the lighting for the soffit has been installed and is operating. Next. The connector between the two buildings, all of the wall construction is finished, the stucco is done, they're installing the curtain wall, the glass storefront. And that's really shaping up both inside and out. There is some roof work yet to be done there, the final roof. Well, that did get finished, I'm sorry, so that's done, but just some roof trim has to be finished. The outside exterior delivery ramp is stuccoed and painted, and the railing is being installed. The railing, there were some issues with it, so it had to go back to the shop, but it'll probably be reinstalled next week. Next, Susan. Fencing, we're getting toward the tail end of things, so we're putting in the security fencing now that the contractor work is sort of tailing off, and then a new security gate will be next installed once the power is going in over there and everything's getting prepped for that. Next. Inside, they're doing the low voltage wiring of a lot of the devices, the HVAC controls, PA system. We've got to run fiber optic for the airline computer systems. So they're getting a lot of that stuff taken care of before the ceilings get buttoned up. And the actual building HVAC is fully operational. So. You can see on the right there, we've got suspended acoustic panels to help keep the noise level down, decorative panels that have an acoustic function, so those are being hung. Next, Susan. Also, the hard surface for the computer workstations and charging stations is going in. And that same hard surface treatment goes around the portals for the boarding bridges. It's kind of a more upscale finish than the drywall. Next, Susan. The bathrooms, the tile is in. The one on the right is a little unisex bathroom with the baby changing station. That's in. Next, Susan. You can see the light fixtures are installed. The final ceiling paint hasn't been done yet. That'll be at the end, but the countertops are put in. The toilets are being hung, and then the stainless steel partitions will be coming very shortly. And then on the opposite side of the building, they finished the stucco on the restroom expansion area and put the first coat of paint on that. But we won't see any more activity over there until the new restrooms are fully operational and open for people, because we will have to take those restrooms existing over there out of service. Couple things that are coming down the pike then will be the rehabilitation of the restrooms over on this side. There'll be matching finishes over there. And we're in the middle of the night going to be lining the sewer pipes of the existing building. It's an epoxy liner that we're going to put down just to make sure that with all this investment that our sewer lines are in decent shape, but this will give them a very long life so that we don't have to dig anything up 5 years down the road because our sewer pipes fail. So we should have pretty good, solid infrastructure when we're all done. One other thing that I didn't mention is we have an internal walkway, an internal ramp, but there's also going to be a little electric wheelchair lift that'll be available. So if you get somebody who's really has an issue with pushing some, in a wheelchair, or we get some really heavy folks that are in wheelchairs. The electric ones are not really feasible on that side. So, they generally break them down and put them in as luggage, as cargo. So this will give us the opportunity to lift people and avoid the ramp if that's necessary. You've probably seen them in doctors' offices and things. And that is the terminal construction on page, I think it's 27. The hangar project, which is essentially complete. That one, page 15. Page 15, thank you. The windows have been delivered for the World War II hangar, and so that work is being scheduled for around February 15th. I'm hoping Aaron and Debbie have gotten a chance to work that out, but we will have that one finished soon. On page 16, item number 4 is our multimodal garage facility. And that one, as you recall, the board decided to go ahead and move forward to prepare the design build documents and the final cost estimate. So we've been talking with the consultant there. We have a progress meeting scheduled for February 1st. And so they're back to work on that one. And as you recall, it was area D1, which is over where our overflow and employee lot is, D1 phase 1, and then we will be design building around the precast speed ramp with a flat parking area, but an alternate that could be proposed for a sloped garage and precast to give you the option for a lower cost alternative. So I'm thinking we'll have our bases pretty well covered on that one. That one, you know, when it's time to make the decision, yeah, it's going to be a tough one because of where we are with COVID, and where we may be a year from. But you'll have, you know, pretty good options to choose from, or none at all. On page 17, our concert series that we talked about, unfortunately, well, fortunately or unfortunately, that one's not been moving very well. The promoters from Chicago and the tourism folks have been, or hospitality folks have been talking with the city and the county on that. They have decided that they're looking for some seed money from the county as well. Aaron, do you want to give any more updates on that? It's kind of sort of stalled right now.
I think there is hope, but it's not. It's coming from other sources. In other words, it won't be coming from the seed money. Will be coming from other entities and sources, and so they're not giving up entirely, and there could be more to come. Mm-hmm. But that's what I can say about it.
Also not in your packet, just an update. As you remember, we submitted, or we issued 2 requests for proposals for engineering services for future AIP projects, those being Taxiway Alpha and Echo extension and modification to meet FAA standards, and also to rehabilitate that part of Taxiway A that is in need of rehabilitation, you know, in the near future. So, also, there was a separate RFP for reconstructing and rehabilitation of our general aviation side pavements, ramp and taxi. So we got a lot of, I think we got 9 proposals for that one. We've gone through all of them in great detail. We've solicited references from many airports on the example projects that were given to us by the consultants. We have not received those back yet. So when we factor that into the scoring matrix, you know, we'll get back with the Facilities and Planning Committee with our recommendation. And prior to that, we will talk with the chair of the committee regarding scheduling interviews of shortlisted firms. And so we hope that we can achieve that in the next 2 weeks. But we do need to have consultants selected and a contract negotiated before we submit our our AIP application in June. And so that's our goal, that's our target. It is entitlement funds that we're dealing with, so we're not concerned if we slip on that date a little bit, but we don't see why we should. I have taken the liberty to go ahead and start the independent fee estimate process for those 2 projects. So when we negotiate, we have an independent fee estimate of those costs. And so we have gone through the scope of work. If we have to modify the IFE, if something changes during the development, scope development, then we will make those adjustments. But we wanted to make sure that wasn't holding up, the negotiation process. All right. If there are no questions, we'll talk very briefly about statistics. They're not going to get anyone too excited. We did have some good news on page 18 in terms of tower operations. Those are up 3%. That's mainly due to general aviation. I know that there are a few recreational flyers that have certainly been adding to that, because I see a lot of folks out there on the weekends, so that's good. Business traffic has looked good. I won't steal Debbie's thunder, but I saw a heck of a lot of corporate jets over there yesterday. But it's good news to be up 3% in terms of tower operations. Fuel flowage, we were down 7%, but there's that's mainly airlines. The airline number of airline flights has been decreased. Military Jet A was up significantly, 28.93%, and so we are seeing those folks coming in. That's great. If you look on page 19, for the month we were down 43% over the year prior. I'm sorry, we're down 50% over the year prior. We're at 43% of where we were for December. Year over year, we're down approximately 55%. If you go to page 23, we already talked about a little of this, but some bright spots. Mainly, we've had a lot of capacity reductions. So Delta seats have been down 32% from December of last year, down about 9% from November. So they've cut seats. That was about 850 seats cut from November. Load factor at 52%. Take that with a grain of salt, because you're not allowing all those seats to be filled. So it's better than it looks. American to Charlotte, they were down 564 seats from November, 62.2% load factor. They don't have the seat reductions, and seats were down 26% from last year. But load factor over 60%. That's not too bad. Miami, you can see the numbers for December, and then of course no service in January. And then Dallas. 69.2% load factors. That's I wish Miami had been able to do that in good times on a consistent basis. But certainly we want to see 85% there at some point. And so all in all, not a lot of change until folks feel comfortable traveling for business once again. Unless you want to, I think I've already talked about TSA screening numbers. Parking counts on page 24, they're pretty much flat. Certainly have declined from the fall, but are sort of akin to where we were earlier in the year. So this is one of our slower months, January and February. Of course, in March, what we really look forward to is the Gator National. Not sure where we're going to go with that one at this point. Right now, it's still scheduled. As to whether the sponsors and their jets and everybody's going to be down here, TV folks and all that, I don't know. But certainly the spectators that fly in, we get a few of those. It's a big month for us. And Madam Chair, that's the information on it.
Any other questions for Alan? Good. All right. Thank you very much. Comprehensive report as usual. Let's move on to Matt, who's going to present financials to us.
If you can hear me?
Lines appear to be open. I'm not sure which one is Matt. Matt, are you out there?
Matt Lyons, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Is that him?
I can hear Matt.
Well, briefly.
McKinnon's talking. Maybe he's talking to somebody else.
I can hear Matt. Y'all can't hear Matt?
Very briefly then, total revenue for the month, $404,000. You can see it on page 26. The revenue was over budget by $29,241. Total expenses for the month, $396, and those expenses were under budget by $11,700. Year to date, we're $98,000 ahead of budget, so not too bad. And then the year-to-date CARES Act revenue is $749,000, $750,000. So year-to-date ahead of budget, $848,000.
Madam Chair, move to,
Any particular item, certainly we'd be happy to do that.
Madam Chair, move to approve the financial report.
All right, we need a motion to accept this.
So moved. Second.
All right. Any further discussion on the financials? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Is anybody abstaining? All right, the financials are approved. Moving on to airport business, we have a resolution. Alan?
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. We have resolution 21-004. I told you about, obviously, our traffic numbers, which are way down. They are below what triggers the board's ability to consider. You always have the ability to consider anything you want to do, but by lease, it is your right and your option to grant rent relief when passenger traffic fall below certain triggers. We are well below those triggers. We have been asked by one of our rental car companies, and we expect the others will follow suit, to continue some rental relief. We did give several months worth of rental relief at 25% off of their MAG and 25% off their rentals per square footage rate. We told the rental car company that I had met with that we do expect some federal relief coming. The bill's been passed. We don't know how much or what form it's going to take, but that I said that I would approach the board to give me the option to reduce rents an additional 3 months, up to 3 months at 25% for MAG, 25% for rental. I do expect that we're going to find out in the next 2 to 3 weeks what amount of money will be awarded from the federal government for this relief. So, and then this would also extend to the Tailwinds food concession and to, if we feel appropriate, the airport advertising commission. Now, there is some language in the federal bill in that if they receive federal assistance related to their operation from certain sources, from certain buckets of money, that they would not be able to double bill, to the airport program. So, but those are the kind of details that we're waiting for. So I ask that your consideration to give us the flexibility to grant those. It's not a huge amount of money in terms of the overall budget.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Approve resolution 21-004.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on resolution 21-004?
Just clarification, Ellen, you have the ability, not the absolute. So this is not absolute, it's the ability to negotiate.
The ability to grant a reduction.
Right.
But no, I told them that, we would
gonna be
look
case
into
by
that. It might
case
be a
and-
month, it might be 2 months or 3
Okay.
months, but we're gonna wait and see how the federal
Okay.
program shakes out.
Any further questions or discussion? Okay, Suzanne?
Okay, Mr. Page,
Yes.
Mr. Thomas,
Yes.
Mr. Wright,
Yes.
Mr. Carter,
Yes.
Mr. Conrad.
Yes.
Yes. And Ms. Corvette.
Yes.
Okay, I noticed that Mr. D left off the meeting a few minutes ago. So we did not call.
Okay. We need a quorum, but, okay. So resolution carries 21-004. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the minute report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hello, everybody. I guess we'll start with the not so great news, and that is that the committee that plans our annual fly-in and military appreciation, we decided to postpone the event that would have taken place the third weekend of March. And we just felt that the environment right now wasn't conducive to bringing public people onto the airfield. So we're looking to reschedule that for later in the fall, and we're looking at dates, and we're really excited about doing that once we know that it will be appropriate for us to go forward. That said, we still have lots of interest in people doing detachments here. There is a squadron of warbirds, primarily T6 Texans, say that 3 times fast. They plan to stage here at UAC for a few days prior to Sun and Fun. Now, if Sun and Fun doesn't happen, I don't think they'll be coming. But they want to come and fly 3 to 4 missions a day to practice their routines before they go to Sun and Fun. So that's, I'd say, maybe, maybe not, we'll see. What we feel very confident about, though, is we have our T-45 detachment that is scheduled for April 2nd to the 18th. The advanced team is coming next week to go through logistics, and that will be 7 T-45s flying 4 missions a day for that 14-day period. We really love hosting our military training folks. And as this is not a public event, we don't see there's any COVID issues there. They have very strict protocols in place for how they interact, and they will just be basically staging outside our World War II hangar. So get ready for the call.
Well, and on that note, we do have, that we sent over there some time ago, some voluntary noise abatement procedures. So if we can make sure we share that with them.
Absolutely.
It avoids the south east portion of the airport coming over downtown Gainesville, the Duck Pond and those areas.
And they are super willing to, because where they go to fly their sorties is way away. So however they go out, they're happy to accommodate.
Yeah.
So the last thing that I have to report is some pretty exciting news. We were awarded for the second year the Cirrus Vision Jet Maintenance Facility of the Year award. I just can't say enough about how great our maintenance team is, especially our Cirrus team. We've got 6 Vision Jets in our hangar right now, and our lead AMPIA, Ian Thiessen, we're actually buying a van for him so he can go on the road, because we get several calls from people saying, you know, I need some work on my plane and it's here, there, or wherever. So he's probably one of the most respected mechanics in the country when it comes to this aircraft, and we're so lucky to have him here, and we're very proud of this award. Mike, anything to add?
We're also going to put a vision jet on our certificate. We've got one of the local persons bought one. I'm going for my type rating in it the first part of March. He and his partner are going to go, I think, after that. And we have to go through all the hoops of the FAA, get the jet certified and our training certified and all that. Get a couple of our other pilots doing their type in it so that we can use that for budget charters who want different forward travel, and also for our medical box runs. So the medical teams won't fly on singlers and airplane, even if it's a jet, so they won't carry medical costs. Just parenthetically, I'll add that we are looking forward to responding to the RFP for the hangar site next to where the old fire station used to be. We hope we can build a significantly larger hangar than just the 12,000 feet, with maybe a center story for all and stuff. We'll see once we get to the goals and that region property and stuff. But we are very interested. And our GA fueling is sitting about 80% of what we've done in the past. The airline fueling, obviously, today we have a dozen maybe get a gift. And so, anyway, the weather in January has put a big dent in our flight school so far. And even some of the closure charges, we hope that's picking up. So, look for better times ahead.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions or comments? All right, moving on. Any further airport authority input? All right, attendance is looking good, and without any other items, it looks like we are able to adjourn. Thank you very much.
Good job, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All I do
You are
is
proud.
follow the agenda.
You look at the
Get you reelected.
What?
Gotta get you reelected.
Yeah.
I read your email.
Right.
Oh, no problem, just.
Yeah.
Right.